Oh, now we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mike in the Midwest. It's going to be episode 144. We'll be talking about pushing through and stickers from the 80s. Should they come back? And also talk about quick, just some stuff I didn't hit this week about going to Walt Disney World. All righty. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 144 of Mike in the Midwest, a mini podcast for the amazing patrons, just like you, of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast. You can find me on the socials at Be Our Guest Mike. Check it out, Twitter, Instagram. Also, on my Instagram, just a heads up, I've put up some reels, which are those short videos of about 60 seconds of I tried something new during this trip, and I'm still continuing to do it here over the next few days because I still have some extra little clips to share. What I did was when I remembered, I took about 15 to 20 seconds of video wherever I was at Walt Disney World, whether I was at Pop Century or I was stuck on Haunted Mansion a couple of times when the ride got stopped during the attraction. Maybe eating at Columbia Harbor House or, wherever I was on property. I was riding a bus one time from Pop Century over to the Magic Kingdom. I would just fire up my phone and shoot 15 to 20 seconds of random video with the audio that I know you love, maybe the audio spiel on the bus to the Magic Kingdom, the audio from, like I said, Haunted Mansion or Pirates or something like that. Something that maybe you're a little homesick for Walt Disney World. This will give you a quick little fix. It's only a 60-second video, but you can find that on my Instagram at BRGuestMike under Reels. It's the little video looking button tab there thing. So if you go looking for that, it's not edited at all. It's just a bunch of random clips of me walking around various places on property at Walt Disney. We're walking past the pool, Pop Century, or Art of Animation. And so if you need a little fix, I try to get that there, and I'm going to put some more up here as I go over the next couple of days. So I hope you enjoy that, because that's kind of stuff that, as a Disney fan, I really like in between trips. It's not necessarily like the stuff you see in the commercials. I get excited when I see a commercial during a TV show. Like, ironically enough, I've talked about this many times. I watch here in the office as I work all day. I watch Pluto TV, which is this free app that has all kinds of shows 24/7. There's like channels for just different. There's like a Love Boat channel. All it shows is Love Boat all day, 24/7. There's also an Amazing Race channel. So I leave that on while I work all day, but they do have commercials. It's owned by CBS. And they show a commercial. They show Walt Disney World commercials pretty often on there. And I get jazzed when I see a Walt Disney World commercial, but I get even more jazzed when I see like a video online of somebody, walking through Riverside, on those paths, and they walk, past the carriage ride or something like that. Cause I can relate to that. I've seen that on my runs before. And that gets me even more excited. The boats on the Sassagoula River. So that's kind of what I was trying to capture, just random things that maybe can trigger you from a vacation 10 years ago. Or maybe you're going this summer and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to Pop Century. That's my jam, or over to Art of Animation, or, ride that bus. I remember that spiel, that sound on the bus. So hopefully that gives you a little connection to your favorite place. It was easy for me to do, and I think it's a fun way. I'll look back on it here in a couple months and get excited. Hopefully it'll help you out today or this week. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great week. Just catching up here, with Mike in the Midwest here on a Tuesday, and it is April 17th, no 18th today. So hopefully you got your taxes done and all that, because I think we're past tax day by now. And yeah, hopefully your spring is going well. My St. Louis Cardinals, my baseball team, struggling, but I keep telling myself it's only April. Long way to go. We're going to be fine. It's okay. But I would like to see us win a little bit more than losing. I'll be honest. But yeah, the weather's been great here in St. Louis right now. It was cold. Let me tell you what, though. It was hot in Walt Disney World this past weekend when I was down for Springtime Surprise. So this week we're going to have obviously the shows. On Wednesday we have Ricky and Pam joining me for listener questions. We get some great questions. I also, again, hit the fact, because a listener writes in and talks about how she's going to be at Walt Disney World in September for a Disney cruise, but also the LSU Tigers, her football team out of Baton Rouge, is going to be playing. I believe they're in Baton Rouge. Is that right? I think they are. And now SIRI is talking to me. But, and I'm not talking to you. So sorry, that was my watch talking to me. But she mentions they're going on a cruise, but they're going to go down to Orlando because the first football game for the LSU Tigers is in Orlando. And I bring up that again, we need to have that parade of LSU fans in purple and gold down Main Street, USA. It'd be epic. And so that's going to come your way on Wednesday show. Friday, Pam and myself are on the show together. Pam was down at Walt Disney World for quite a while. She also did a Virgin cruise, which is that new cruise ship. I think it's out of Lauderdale. It's down Miami or Lauderdale, and it's an adults only cruise experience. And she went on this. She talks about that for about 3 or 4 minutes at the top of the show. Just the differences in that between Disney cruise and Virgin cruises. And actually, that the person who's helping launch this cruise line for Virgin came from Disney Cruise Line, which I thought was super interesting because they're not very, I don't know if this really doesn't appeal to me. I'm more of a Disney guy than probably a Royal Caribbean guy than a Virgin cruise guy. I think I've never sailed Virgin, so I don't know. But um, I think that's interesting. They would pull somebody from Disney Cruise for this new cruise line that's catering exclusively to adults. But we had that discussion on Friday show, so that'll be coming your way. Also, we both have experienced Tron at this point, so we talk about that. Oh my gosh, on Friday show, you get to hear the story of how I had to take the walk of shame this past Saturday on Tron. Now, those of you that have been on already, and I know a lot of you have, and some of you haven't, it's an awesome ride. I loved it. It's more my style than Guardians. Guardians is definitely more of like a bigger like a bigger experience. Obviously it's got more going on. I would say it's longer. It's more of a bigger experience, I think, in my opinion. Tron is awesome though. It's perfect for the Magic Kingdom. People say that it's too short. I don't think so because I'm older. It was just right for me because I was like, okay, that was fun. I'm glad we're done. Um, but I loved it. I thought it was so unique to sit on a vehicle like that, because I've never ridden a motorcycle. I'm scared I would kill myself on a motorcycle because I don't have a lot of self control. I drive my Jeep too fast. But you get on that thing and you're blasting through those gates or whatever they're called in the grid, and it was a ton of fun. But when I got on, I had a fanny pack on, which I don't usually wear a fanny pack. And if you do, it's cool because I found out they're super useful. But I tell the story of how I had to take the walk of shame because they saw me with a fanny pack on. And I forgot I had it on. I only had my AirPods in it. I just didn't want to lose my AirPods Pro. So you get to hear that story on Friday's show. It's pretty embarrassing, but it's there. So get ready for that. Those are the shows coming up this week. And on Monday, I think we're going to have a show about a guy who visited all the Walt Disney World resorts in one day. So that's coming your way. We're recording that tomorrow. So that should be a fun next few shows. I'm excited to bring those to you. I hope you always enjoy the regular shows because when you support us on Patreon, you're not supporting Mike in the Midwest. It's just a throwaway kind of fun thing. I try to give you guys a little bit extra, but you're supporting the Be Our Guest podcast. You're supporting the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the call-in shows on Sunday nights. And by the way, this Sunday night, I hope you can join us. I believe Scotty G is going to be going to Washington, D.C. with his family. So I think it's just going to be you and me in the phone lines. So I'm going to need your calls. We can talk about all things Disney. By then, the annual passes will have gone on sale. We found out today that they will go on sale no earlier than 6 a.m. Eastern on April 20th. So if you're going for an AP, good luck to you. The thing is, you just got to pack your patience because it's going to be just like a Run Disney race registration where it'll say, you're in the queue, don't refresh, you have 3 hours. Sometimes it'll go from 3 hours down to 45 minutes in 10 minutes. So it's not necessarily 3 hours. So just hang in there. Don't get super frustrated. I know it's frustrating because I've been through this process 100 times. But just hang in there and just think good thoughts. And hopefully by the afternoon, you'll have your annual pass. You'll have a year of fun at Walt Disney World. You won't have to worry about it again. It's kind of like one of those things I always try to tell my kids, as a parent, that sometimes you have to suffer for a little bit to have good times for a long time. And I think that's how it's going to be on Thursday, right? You might have to suffer during the morning. And it stinks, right? We all have jobs. That's the thing. I know a lot of you guys are teachers, nurses, professionals, all over the place. And you can't sit there for 3 hours. You got to take the kids to school. You got to get yourself to work. I know a lot of people are probably taking off work or taking a half day. You shouldn't have to do that, but that's the stuff we do as Disney fans. But I just wish you the best. So hang in there. Hope everybody gets their AP that's looking for those and everything goes as well as possible. So what else is going on around here? So got back from Walt Disney World. Springtime Surprise was a lot of fun. That race weekend was the last one of this race season for Run Disney. It was a 5K, a 10K, and a 10 miler. And I will say that I really do enjoy these races because of getting to see old friends. And I'm not saying old friends because I'm the old dude, but just friends that I get to see race weekend after race weekend. You know, I get to see like Matt Tracks from Instagram. He is just the most positive guy. And I call him a kid because he's so much younger. He's a fast, just happy. He's always smiling. He's like a ball of positive energy every time I see him, whether it was getting ready to get on Tron. He was telling me, "You're gonna have such a good time. I'm so excited for you." You know, or saw him on the course running around like a gazelle. You know, just seeing that, seeing good friends like my good friend Mark Earps from Pennsylvania and his daughter, you know, running the races, and just meeting new listeners from all over the world. You know, I met a guy who listens to the show with his wife. He's a former NFL player. His wife is a teacher. They reside in Canada. We hung out in Frontierland for a few minutes to swap some stories about football. That was awesome. Met a great couple from Oregon. And when I was having a second a buffalo grilled cheese sandwich at ABC Commissary, got to catch up about all kinds of goings on in education, with Disney, with running, with injuries that we've overcome and stuff like that. It's just, it's this podcast brings me such blessings. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to get to do this show. It is really, really cool. But I will say, I wanted to talk about this when I got back, because I was thinking about this weekend, because I do a lot of these solo trips, right? Where I'm down at Walt Disney World for a race weekend, or sometimes I go down for media previews for new attractions and so forth, like I was at Disneyland for the Disney 100 stuff, or like I was down for Guardians, stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It is a blessing. It is awesome. But I will say in the downtimes that when you're solo, it is there are times I will tell you that if you're a family man like I am, you know, and you have a wife and daughters, there are times where you do get a little bit lonely, right? Now I will say, like on the trips where Scott and his family are there, it doesn't happen as often because we're like going at a manic pace. You know, Scott's always like, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's, you know, let's meet up and let's try this, or let's do that." When I'm there solo, I don't make as many plans, you know, because I'm just by myself and I can do whatever I want. But the problem is a lot of times is I don't schedule things. I just kind of let things kind of happen. And so this trip, there were, you know, some downtimes because you run the 5K race, for example, on Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, I was back at the hotel by 6:10 or so, 6:30, showered, and you know, I could rope drop any park I wanted. And then I have the whole day until the next day's race, which is fun. And I went and had a good time. I think I went to the studios. No, I went to Epcot that day and had a blast. But when you're by yourself, you find yourself like, you know, playing around social media, texting your family back home. But it's just one of those things that there are times where you wish your wife was there to share in, you know, some of the flower garden booths, or, you know, I went to see a concert at the American Gardens Theater. It was a band I just happened to see. I was going by and I saw that the name of the band was Foreigner's Journey. And I'm like, Foreigner's Journey? I bet you they sing Foreigner and Journey songs. It's probably a cover band for them. And sure enough, they were. So I'm like, when in Rome, right? I have a ticket to Epcot. Why not? I'm going to go over there and have dinner tonight. And I had dinner in Japan at the counter service place. Hadn't eaten there in years, right? Nobody talks about that place anymore. You just go up the hill there with a koi pond, and it was very peaceful. And I, you know, went up there and got me a, I don't know, some kind of platter with, I think it was like shrimp and chicken teriyaki and some rice and vegetables. And it was wonderful. The weather was beautiful that night. Sat up there and next to the koi pond, I called my wife and talked to her while I was eating without trying to make any noise while I was eating. So I was trying to talk to her at the same time. Made myself over to the concert because it happened at like 6:45, and you know, just enjoyed the night. But it was one of those things like, you know, when these songs came on, like when Faithfully came on, when and this guy sounded just like Steve Perry. And when he sang Foreigner, he sounded just like the Foreigner lead singer. It was wild because he sounded like both going back and forth. They were really good. But the thing was, like when he sang certain songs, like they start off with Separate Ways by Journey. Like I wish my wife could have been there because like we like this music together. And I still enjoyed it. And I FaceTime my wife back home. I'm like, check this out. Listen, you got to hear, look at this guy. Listen. So we were kind of sharing the experience virtually, but it wasn't it wasn't the same, right? I wish she would have been there. But I mean, circumstances, she had to teach and I had to go. So I was still lucky to go. But it's one of those things that we talk about solo trips and we get those questions on the show often where people are asking, are solo trips awesome? They are. Don't get me wrong. And Jenna is in the live chat. She was down solo for this trip too, I believe. Um, I can't remember. I think she was. But it's one of those things that it's different. It is fun. Trust me. I mean, look at my Instagram. I had a blast. I got all kinds of character pictures, pictures of my medals. I rode all kinds of rides. I saw shows. I even went to see the Frozen sing along. But Jenna was by herself. So, I mean, I was there seeing the Frozen sing along. And I'll tell you that I used to go to that show with Mallory when she was a little girl. And I just went in there to see it on Sunday because my window for my buffalo chicken grilled cheese sandwich was going to open at 12:30 and it was 11:30. So I had an hour to kill and it was blazing hot and I would just want to sit down in some air conditioning and I'm like, I'll see a show. So I was right by the theater and that is a great show. But I mean, it's one of those things like it would have been better with my girls. It would have been better with my family, but it was still good. I'm not complaining, but when you go solo, you do give up that, where you can elbow your wife like, oh, here comes first time in forever again. Oh, here comes Let It Go. There's the piano. Do, 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 do. How many times have we heard this song in our life? It's the 1,010th time. But, you sit back and what I found myself doing was there was a little girl sitting in the row in front of me. She must have been 4 or 5 years old. And she was sitting there with her mom and it looked like her mom and her grandma, I think. And, there's a section of the show where Elsa, like there's smoke and Elsa just appears out of this like ice thing, and the girl jaw drops right to the ground. I mean, just could not believe Elsa was actually in the house. Because we're all looking for Elsa. That's how the show goes. And to see that, even though that was kind of like I was living vicariously through this family in front of me's experience, because that's how Mallory was years and years ago. Because the Frozen came out on my birthday on November 27th years ago, and on my birthday, the girls, Mallory was right at that age where this was the perfect movie for her. So we didn't know much about it. We knew actually in the previews, we just knew that there was like a moose that liked carrots and there was a snowman. There wasn't a whole lot about the sister angle. We went to see it on my birthday because I just told the girls, like, I'd like to go see a movie with my daughters. And so we went to see it. And then, like, when the movie was about two sisters, I was like, oh, and the sisters, had to rally together to work together. It touched my heart because I was there on my birthday and I have two daughters, right? And they're 11 years apart. Paige is 26, Mallory's 15. And so, I want them, if anything were to ever happen, like a Disney movie to myself and my wife, like I would want them to come together and support each other and love each other and take care of each other like Anna and Elsa. In that movie, when I walked out, I was like, whoa, that movie was like made for Mallory and Paige. And like it made my heart full. And I've always liked that movie because of that. And of course, Mallory after that had to always have an Elsa dress on or an Anna dress. And so we just have that history of it. But then to see this little girl that was at it right now on Sunday, she was 4 years old and she was going through that same thing that Mallory went through a decade ago was so cool. Like when it started snowing in the theater, she lost her mind. It was so cool. And I mean, I still think it's pretty cool too. But when it was coming down, like she could not believe it was snowing because it was like 90 degrees outside in Florida in this theater. And I think that's the stuff that when you think about going to Walt Disney World, we always focus on the show about how do you get that virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy, or how do you get on Tron? Like, what's the best strategy? How do you see 18 attractions at the Magic Kingdom without Genie Plus in a day? I mean, that's the practical aspect of a Disney vacation. And there's something to be said for that. But I think the joy of a Disney vacation, if you really think about it, is those small moments like that. Because I would have enjoyed that just as much, probably more with my wife and daughters there with me. But here I was, a solo dad there, and I was there to run races. That's why I went down. I went down to run the races and get these cool medals and see my friends that run with me. And, I have a lot of friends in the Run Disney family. But I just, on a whim, walked into the Frozen sing-along, and that was one of my best memories, and it was just because I sat back and watched a family make their memory. because that little girl was just, she could not have been happier, and she could not have been more amazed that Elsa was on that stage making it snow. I mean, that's Disney magic. I mean, that's what it's about, and that was so cool for me. So we talk about that kind of stuff. Friday show, Pam talks about that. We talk about Pam visited All Star Sports in a refurbished room, so we talk about those refurbishments. We talk about she went to Narcoossee's. That restaurant has just recently reopened. She gives a review of that. She stayed in a refurbished room at the Grand Floridian as well. That's something you might be interested in. There's a lot of stuff that Pam got to do, and we talk about that on Friday show. So a lot of current events coming your way on that. All right, let's hit the feedback from last week's show. Last week I talked about things that have disappeared, just kind of gone away over the last little bit. And Dennis Keithley, my good friend down in Texas, says, I can tell you that picnics are still a thing here in Texas. At least they are in my neighborhood. I have a playground around the block from our house with a covered pavilion. And a few blocks to the south, we have the Oak Point Nature Preserve. Trails from the nature preserve take you all the way to another park called Bob Woodruff. All three of those locations are ideal for families and picnics. During any weekend with nice weather, I will see several families enjoying a picnic at one of those locations while I'm out on a run. My parents also had a special grandparent grandchild picnics with my boys when they were little, whenever they would come visit while my wife and I worked. As for arcades, you can find a traditional arcade around here, but it isn't anywhere the kids could get to safely by themselves. Most of the venues with arcade games are either big Dave and Buster's or main event type facilities. However, my kids still get some sort of socializing with their friends because they play games online with each other and they all show up with their handheld devices and talk while they played games. Good luck at springtime surprise, Dennis. That's a good point. I think it is too about communities and how they're built with picnics, because that's kind of how that topic came up. Do kids still have picnics? Because people were picnicking at Toontown out at Disneyland, and I thought, man, I haven't seen a lot of people picnic in the real world in a while, and I think a lot of these kids probably have never picnicked. But I think because we do also have some nice areas here where I live in St. Peters, Missouri. We have some pretty nice parks, and I do see people picnicking out here. But in the area where I grew up, like over the past decade, in Florissant, not so much because it wasn't such a nice neighborhood anymore. Now, when I was a kid, we did picnic because it was a nicer area. Like everybody just tended to do it. Like at St. Ferdinand Park, that's where we always went. We'd go fishing and we'd play on the playground and, take a lunch. So that's good to hear, Dennis. And you're right. Kids do, I guess, times change and we socialize differently. So kids do, while they play their games online, whether it's like a massively multi online game, like a World of Warcraft or something, you're always talking through your headset and, or like even a Madden, you're talking constantly through your headset while you're playing the game, or the person's in the next town or on the other side of the world. Or like you said, people bring their handhelds. I mean, when Mallory hangs out with her friends, they're always texting each other and they're in the same room. It's terrible, but it's life, I guess. Thanks, Dennis. Hope you're doing well. Trisha up in Wisconsin says, of course, the week after Easter is our spring break and the weather was better in Wisconsin than in Florida. I think Mother Nature was punishing us because we went to the other park down the road. Still had a blast, though. Our new house looks out over the neighborhood park, and my daughter finds eating outside entertaining, even if the picnic is just out on our back deck. I think people in Wisconsin relish being outside as much as possible in the spring and summer because we basically don't see the light of day from November through March. I can get that. You know what? We have a very nice deck on our house. It just came with it when we got the house, and I relish eating on our deck. And I might actually try to grab dinner tonight on our deck because it's beautiful outside, and our deck actually kind of looks down over the lake that I used to always run around every morning when I ran outside. And it's kind of fun watching everybody walk their dogs around the lake, and Riley like sitting out there and barking at everybody that goes by, thinking she's the troll of the neighborhood and telling everybody they have to pay the toll. All right, so to today's topic, a couple things I wanted to ask you guys, because I listen to other podcasts, and one of the other podcasts that I listen to is Twit. It's the This Week in Tech Network, and they have many podcasts, and they also have a Patreon program, and they call their patrons like club members. They call it Club Twit. And I've thought about how cool that is, because I kind of think of you guys as kind of Club BOGP. We are like a club. We're like a family. You guys allow us to do everything that we do here on the show. And I'm so in debt to you guys. I appreciate you so very much for your support every month. It means more than you know. And I was thinking about this, that over the past year with Run Disney, and I was wanting to get your feedback on this because a lot of us, I think, are around the same age, and a lot of us kind of have, I think, similar mindsets, is about pushing through, and whether it's professionally or physically with our activities. I was thinking about this on Sunday because Sunday was the 10 miler race for the springtime surprise events. And so this whole weekend, we had a 5K, we had a 10K, and then we had a 10 miler. And I've always been a competitive person. That's just how I am. I like to give my best effort in everything I do. With the podcast, I always try to give it a best effort. I don't try to look at it as a hobby. I try to look at it as, if you're going to do a podcast, you're going to make sure that you always have a quality show out every Monday, every Wednesday, every Friday. Like, don't take a hiatus, don't take a break. Do this professionally, make it something that is worth every person's time who takes the time to download or stream your show. And I hope you guys always feel that way. I never want to waste your time, and I never want to give you something that isn't 100% my best effort. I know that every show isn't the best show. I get that, because you're just not going to have that over the course of 15 years, but I always try to give something that is the best effort that I have at the time. So I was thinking about this because when the race was going on Sunday, so on Saturday was the 10K, and I really wanted to give a really good effort on the 10K because that's one of my favorite distances. It's 6.2 miles, which is far, but it's not as far as a half marathon or a full marathon. It's not a sprint, but if you really hustle, it's like an hour of intense pain. That's the way I look at it. It's like a quick hour of really burning calves and everything else if you hustle. One thing I've never gotten in my Run Disney career is a shot of the finish line picture under an hour. And so on this morning, and again, remember, I'm going to turn 50 at the end of this year in November. So I think I've peaked on my speed and my fitness thing, right? I'm over the hill as far as my athletic days, which kind of kills me because I love being athletic and I love my journey that I've been on through speed skating and hockey and being a baseball player. I've always been an athlete in my past. In running, I'm just kind of middle of the pack, but I'm still like driven with, whether it's good or bad, I'm competitive. And so I wanted, I will always, I've done this for like the past 3 or 4 years. I've always toyed with the idea of trying to get a shot, the finish line picture under an hour. And I've never made it. I've always come close. I've gotten like an hour and 31 seconds or an hour and 28 seconds. And I always stop and get a selfie with the gospel choir right there at the corner before you go down the chute, which is at mile 6. And I'm not going to give that up because I love the gospel choir. They're awesome. So this time I started doing the calculations at about the half distance. So at about 5K, I knew that I was under like 28 minutes. I knew I could probably make it if I hustled, but the back end is harder. And what I'm finding out, and this happened even worse on Sunday in the 10 miler from like mile 6 to 10, is that pushing through, which is, I truly believe it is physical, but it's more mental than physical, does get harder as you get older. And it's like the the getting harder is getting more intense each year. Like, I didn't notice it as much over the past like 5 years as I've noticed it maybe in the past 18 months. To push through from mile 3 to 6 in the 10K was really, really hard. Now, I will say it was super humid this weekend too, which I think had something to do with it. But it was really, really hard. For the 10 miler on Sunday to push through from mile 6 to 10. Now, the hills were on the back end of this course too. All the hills were from mile 7 to 10. I mean, not big hills, but hills. Struggle. And I'm just wondering what your take is on this, because I just want to talk to other folks, like, because I know a lot of you guys do run, a lot of you guys, in your profession, is you work in through, because I mean, this happens with me with the travel agent stuff, right? I love what I do, but I mean, some days it gets harder than other days to like push through and get to everybody's, quotes and everybody's modifications and everybody's, responses and, questions and solve. I always make sure I get everything done by the end of the day. But some days I feel like it's getting harder than it used to be even 5 years ago. Like, and I know maybe I don't think I'm that old, right? I don't feel that old, but I just find that it is getting harder to push through on things. And I wonder, what's your take on that? Like, are you seeing that? Do you have any tips? Because I am mentally tough and I still do get through. And I know that, like, it's just one of those things, right? Mother Nature catches up to you, right? You just don't win the battle. I know that when you're 90, you're not going to be able to run a marathon. That's just the facts of life. And, but I mean, I'm also one that is a very stubborn person, and I'm going to keep going as long as I can and enjoying life, kicking and screaming all the way out because I love what I do. I love running. I love my job. I love podcasting. It's my favorite. It's my favorite time of the week. Every time I get to get behind the mic and speak to everybody, and then an extension of that, getting to meet people at Walt Disney World who take the time to listen to our show just blows me away. It fills my heart. I just love all the things I get to do. But I'm finding that sometimes these things are taking more out of me over the last 18 months than they ever have, which is, I don't know. I mean, have you found that kind of same thing with your hobbies? You know, maybe you're a pickleball player, maybe you're a bicycle rider, maybe you are a real estate agent, and it's just becoming a little bit harder than it used to be maybe 5 years ago. I just want to get your feedback on that. I need Club BOGP here to give me a sounding board. So let me know over on patreon.com/be our guest podcast, or no, patreon.com/be our guest podcast. Also, one other thing I want to mention, totally off topic, stickers. I have been collecting stickers over the past like 6 months, and I'm getting into it because, like, in the 80s, that was such a big deal. Remember, like, puffy stickers and scratch and sniff stickers and all the stickers, right? There were stickers for everything, like the Mr. Yuck stickers that would, you put on your poison things. I don't know if you had this, and I want to get your feedback on this too. Did you guys have sticker books? So my sister and I, again, she's 4 years younger than me. We both had our own sticker books. And I remember we got them like at Venture, which was like a Target knockoff, or Target. I can't remember. It was one of those like department stores. And it was like a kind of a book that had slick pages, almost like they were like waxy. And you would put your stickers in these books. You could organize them, and the waxy pages allowed you to kind of be able to take the stickers on and off maybe one or two times and rearrange them. And we collected stickers when we were kids. And so you would, get like the googly eye, puffy stickers, or, scratch and sniffs. If you got a good grade at school, your teacher might put a sticker on your paper. And I just remember stickers were a big deal there for a while when we were kids. Were stickers a big deal for you? And like, what were some of your favorites? I remember like Pac-Man stickers. I got them at the skating rink where we always hung out at Spinning Wheels. And I'd bring those home. And, arcade game stickers from the 80s, I remember were big. Trying to think. I know I had Smurf stickers. I remember those in my sticker book. But yeah, just I wonder, like, if you still, I would love, oh man, I wish I had that sticker book from my childhood. I would love to go through them because I had a ton of stickers in there. And the thing is, I found out is that if you go online, they still sell like replicas of all those stickers from your childhood. So if you go on, you can find scratch and sniff stickers just like the ones from our childhood. You can find the puffy, googly eyed stickers, and you can even find sticker books. But what I found out is, I'm not into doing that anymore, but I gotta, so instead of putting like a big sticker on my MacBook, what I've done this time is I'm just being super careful, but I'm trying to find stickers from places that I've either traveled or things that are important to me to put on my MacBook to kind of decorate it this time on the outside. So I have things like Truman the Tiger, which is the mascot for Mizzou. I have a Walt Disney World one. I have a Run Disney sticker on my MacBook. I have a Dopey Challenge finisher sticker on my MacBook. I have a Disneyland sticker on my MacBook. So just things that are important to me. Instead of having a sticker book, I have them on my MacBook so that maybe when I'm out at doing work at, I never leave the house, let's be honest. Hardly ever, unless I go to Walt Disney World. But if I'm out working, somebody might see that and say, oh yeah, Mizzou, you're a Mizzou fan. That's cool. Or, hey, you did the Dopey Challenge. I did that one time. And it would be a conversation starter. And also, to be honest, it just makes me happy to see the stickers on my MacBook. They all bring back good memories. Disneyland, I got that in Disneyland. It's a good trip. And I didn't get the Disneyland sticker in Disneyland. I got it from Etsy when I got home from Disneyland, but it looks like a ticket. So it reminds me of my Disneyland trip. But Do you guys use stickers? Do you remember them from your childhood? Do you put them on your MacBook? Do you put them, and I put them here on my desk as well. Just, stickers can make me happy when I'm 49, just like they did when I was 9. Kind of interesting. So, what are your takes on those two things? Pushing through and stickers. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. And I hope you're having a great week. I really do. And again, I'm just thankful for your friendship. And I'm thankful that you're a part of Club BOGP. It's kind of our unofficial thing. All right. We'll get back together again next Tuesday. Hope you enjoy the podcast this week. Until then, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you real soon.